I tried the bar. I was blown away. And I loved it. And I took some home, and our kids were just like going crazy. Like they wanted to eat them every day. So we were, I was getting these samples. I wasn't really even looking to jump into a business, but we love the product so much. And we just were like, people need to be able to buy these. Like,
I ordered the variety pack and set it on the pantry countertop, and I was surprised how quickly they were gone. I only got to try one of each, and the rest the family took, and they were gone. And they were all delicious, by the way, folks. If you haven't tried Blue Unicorn yet, go give it a try.
Startups with Stu is a podcast for anyone living or wanting to live the startup life, either as a founder or a team member. Your host, Stuart Draper, was a 9-time Inc. 5000 honoree before age 40. This show dives deep into the exhilarating world of entrepreneurship with guests that are seeking advice from Stu for their startup or business owners that want to share their entrepreneurial journey. Listeners always walk away with actionable ideas of what to do to take their startup to the moon. Startup life can feel like a roller coaster ride. And with Startups with Stu, you're likely to turn your roller coaster ride into a rocket ship ride. Get ready to uncover the secrets to startup success from visionary founders and savvy investors who've transformed groundbreaking ideas into thriving ventures.
One of the reasons I do my show is because I want to help founders and people that like to invest in founders. I'm trying to create a community that is the ideal community for what I needed 10, 15 years ago. As a young founder, it is hard to find the right mentors and money. And so what I've put together with Startups with Stu is a lot of great content that will help you. And for free, you can always come and listen to the Startups with Stu podcast. I hope you know that. I want to invite those that are listening, whether you be an angel investor, a VC, a private equity guy, whether you are a founder that's bootstrapping or a founder that's raising money, or a founder or a small business owner that's already kind of like figured some things out, but is kind of stuck in a rut. I want to invite you to my Startups with Stu retreats. These are paid events. You have to apply to attend. Not everyone gets in, but they are a blast. First and foremost, we have fun. And second, they are game changer for your business. They are worth the investment to attend. Go to startupswithstu.com/retreats, or just go to startupswithstu.com and find the retreats tab and learn more. Apply and see if we can get you into the next retreat. We have one coming up August 20th through the 22nd, and another one coming up September 8th through the 10th. So if you're into the outdoors, especially this is for you. We're in Island Park, Idaho. It's right by Yellowstone National Park. You spend some extra days, go to Jackson, take a break from the day-to-day grind. In the book Walk Away Wealthy, Mark Tepper says that every founder should be taking 2 weeks off, stepping away from the business so they can see where they need to go work on the business so that they don't have to be in it all the time. Come and attend. Look forward to seeing you there. So if you haven't yet, go to startupswithstu.com, find the retreats tab, go learn more, and apply. You got 2 opportunities. Come and join us. Today we have with us the founder and CEO of Blue Unicorn, a delicious treat that you will learn more about today on the show. Jason, so good to have you. Thanks for being with me.
hey, it's good to be with you, Stu.
So on Startups with Stu, we talk about what it takes to take your startup to the moon. In other words, to become a unicorn. And so it's going to be fun to talk through your beginning stages, where you're at today. Before we dive into the company and what the bars are, let's talk about what it was like growing up as Jason Christensen.
Oh, man. Well, I grew up in Salt Lake. I actually grew up in West Valley, which is kind of, it was Granger is actually where it was, or very middle income. I actually grew up on a small farm. So, I had a lot of farm chores, growing up, and took care of sheep and cows and chickens and I spent some time milking cows when I was a kid. So
Really? That's awesome. So do you think that was impactful in your career today? Like, did it help mold you into who you are as a founder today?
yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, maybe just from a work ethic standpoint, when you grow up that way, I think it's an opportunity. It builds character. I think when you get to live the farm life.
So you kind of had, I mean, I would say a farm life near Salt Lake City, Utah, which had more amenities because so you were in the farm life, but you're close to the big city. You're kind of like a pretty idyllic all American boyhood, right? Is what you got to have. It sounds like then.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. And it was a small farm, and we were, my dad was in public education, so like he was like an elementary school principal. We were very middle income. We didn't have a ton of stuff. 7 kids, so we're fighting for food. When it's dinner time, but it was no. I mean, it is what it is, and it's what I knew. So, it was good.
Yeah. So as far as now as an adult, and tell me about your family life now.
Well, we live in Mapleton. We actually, so just a couple years ago, we ended up buying some land, and a lot of that was, we have a little bit of acreage, and so we actually raise alpacas. So and we have chickens and things like that too. But we started doing alpacas a couple years ago. My daughter put all of her money into that, and I wanted my kids to have some of those same experiences, and have that kind of responsibility. I think I don't know. I love the idea of like when you have responsibility for life, whether it's when you're actually responsible for the life of an animal, and if they don't get fed, then it's on you, and I think that's been really great. That's a great experience. So something I wanted for my kids.
Dude, that is awesome that you've been able to find a way to recreate some of those experiences you had and give those to your children as well. So the alpaca thing, like, how did you get into that? Was that like a business venture, or like simply for fun you chose like, no, I want to have hobby farm kind of thing? What was that like?
Well, when we bought this property, we developed and created some pasture space, and we didn't know what we were going to do. We talked about maybe getting a horse, or and then we were talking about goats, and it was really super spontaneous, where I don't know how it came up. My daughter and I all of a sudden we looked at someone was trying to sell some alpacas, and so we started looking into it and studying and learning a little bit about alpacas, and honestly, they're amazing. And we love it. We kind of like, it was literally looking at something, and then the next day we hopped in the car and drove. We actually drove all the way to like Reno, Nevada, and kind of a guy there that was was just trying to get rid of his animals, and so we loaded him up and brought him home, and that was the start of it.
So sounds like quite a whimsical experience that you went through. Classic founder to just be like, we're going to do it. Let's go buy alpacas. I love it. So I think that the alpaca thing leads to some of the branding with Blue Unicorn. But before we step into Blue Unicorn, which I know everyone's excited to like learn more about the brand and like your start there, but you already had acreage in Mapleton, Utah. You'd had some wins in your career. Tell us about your career. Was it always founder life for you? What else did you do and then how did you stumble into the Blue Unicorn opportunity?
Yeah. I started, Well, yeah, 25 years ago, I started a company in the home security, home automation industry. Called name of that was North Star, and I did that for almost 20 years. Prior to that, it was, I don't know, it was kind of it wasn't like that was some grand design. And I don't know that I necessarily even consider myself super entrepreneurial at that time, but a friend of mine convinced me to do it. So, we started this company together, and I postponed MBA school. That was what I was planning to do. But I ended up postponing that. North Star went really well. And we grew the company. We sold to private equity a little over 10 years ago. And, I stayed on for another 5 years after that, as the CEO of the company. And then, for the last 5 years, when I stepped down from that full time, I started teaching at Brigham Young University in the business school there, and in the entrepreneurial management department. And really, that's primarily what I've been doing for the last 5 years as an adjunct professor.
Oh, that's fantastic. I have a similar story going back to teach as an adjunct at BYU Idaho. And I found there's very little more fulfilling work than helping young students find their career and their path. It's awesome, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. It's kind of like, for me, it's sort of a dream come true. I mean, I don't think there's anything I could be doing that would be any better. It's inspiring, and it helps me operate on a high level, and very fulfilling.
Are you teaching? What's the name of the courses that you've taught or are teaching?
Well, the class. So when I was hired, at the time, really, it was 5 years ago, they had asked me to teach a class. I created it was essentially a sales class for entrepreneurs. And so in the department, and at the time, really, there really weren't any classes, even at BYU in any department at the time, really teaching sales. My class is called Entrepreneurial Sales and Persuasion. So I spent some time and just kind of developed and created the curriculum for the class. And then I've been teaching it ever since.
That's awesome. So as far as this private equity deal, because I do want to get the blue unicorn. I hopefully people are getting more on the edge of their seat that we get to hear the story there. But so you did this private equity deal. Did you get it? Did you hire an investment banker, which is by the way, for those unfamiliar with the term investment banker, they're kind of like a real estate agent for businesses. They help list and sell your business. Did you hire an investment banker and then have multiple private equity groups and other strategic buyers interested in your business? Or was it like one private equity group came to you and they sold you on the idea of selling?
No, we went through a full process, and we went to market, and I hired, it was more of a broker that I hired that, kind of had his own firm, but was sort of specialized in our industry. And honestly, that was like the worst 6 months of my life. Like going through that, the process of going through selling your company is just, emotionally, it was, I don't know. I probably didn't sleep for, a large chunk of that time. I can't even, it's hard to even explain and describe how, that whole process, but, it was just, the level of scrutiny that goes into it on that side, and especially, with private equity, it's pretty intense. And, you could go through that, you spend all this money, and then until you close, it's all still, kind of up in the air. And so you can't really rest until you finally see the funds hit your account. So.
So folks, if you're tuning in today and you're at an early stage in your business, this information matters for you now. So because you need to think about the end from the beginning. You may choose that you're never going to sell your business. You already have a succession plan of, I'm giving this to Johnny, and Johnny Jr. is going to run this thing someday. Like, okay, great. You still want to build and grow your business as if someday you might sell it. And so understanding these terms and understanding what it's like to go through it is very valuable and important to consider. When I did my deal, my private equity deal happened in 2021, Jason. We hired an investment bank called VistaPoint Advisors. And like you mentioned, your broker had specialized in selling and representing business owners that were selling businesses in your space. VistaPoint Advisors had a whole team dedicated to education technology deals. And because of that, when we started selling, the interested buyers were all of the strategics in our space and the private equity groups. And in 2021, the strategic buyers didn't even come close on valuation to where the private equity buyers were. The private equity buyers valued our business way higher than the strategic buyers. A mix of things. The market had led to a lot of what we call dry powder. There's a lot of money investors are wanting the private equity groups to put to work, and the private equity groups are having a hard time finding good businesses to buy. And so they're hungry and they have more money that they need to put to work. So that was a big part of it. And strategic buyers were in our space, in the education space, all struggling as businesses. They're on the decline. Lower student enrollments, a lot of things are going into that. Anyway, I don't mean to take away from your story here, Jason, but I think for listeners, when we talk about what it takes to take your startup to the moon, if the moon for you means an exit, it means selling your business someday, then you need to know about who the investment bankers are in your space that represent companies like yours. And they'll start coming to you. If you start doing well, if you hit the Inc. 5000 list, you're going to be on email lists and they'll start hitting you up and trying to sell you on working with them, right? I don't know if that was your experience, Jason. Were people starting to come to you guys?
Oh, yeah. Me, for years and years, you get solicitations like that for sure.
Yeah. And my recommendation to folks has been ignore 98% of them and occasionally jump in and take a call or two so you're familiar with what's happening in the market and the industry and you know their pitch. But unless you're ready to make a move, don't waste a lot of time on it because they can suck a lot of time out of you for no good reason. That's not going to help you.
Yeah, and having the right broker makes all the difference in the world. I felt super grateful, for who I had advising me on it at the time. He talked me off the edge of the cliff a couple of times. I was ready to blow it all up. I was so mad with different little things that came up, last minute the last minute, like tweak in the valuation and things like that. And, so that in hindsight, I feel grateful having a good broker.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I think very wise. Were you the CFO as well for the business, or did you have a financial guy?
I have a CFO as well. Yeah.
And the CFO in your case, did you find them to be very instrumental in helping you get to the finish line on the deal?
Yes, absolutely. It was probably just as much, pressure on the CFO as it was on me.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. My CFO, Mike Andrus, was very instrumental in helping me get to the finish line and helped push our valuation up in our case because he had done a very good job with our numbers. So much so that they didn't have a lot of things to pick at and pull apart and go, oh, those numbers aren't as good now that we've looked deeper at the way we run the numbers, right? Like he had ran the numbers the way the private equity group thought about things. And so that helps. And so I think if you don't have a good plan for your financial leadership in your organization, if you plan to someday sell, you better get your ducks in a row in that regard.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's enough on the subject because we're not there, and it's not even worth a lot of time or energy thinking about Blue Unicorn getting there yet. Today, it's all about grow.
But I will say I did get an email from somebody from private equity yesterday saying they want to buy us already. So it's already begun. That's already begun.
That's classic. Yeah, it happens early, especially when you built such a cool brand. So there is a blue alpaca on screen for me that I see here in the corner with a unicorn horn. So tell us the story of how you came up with the branding.
Well, my wife and I really we co-founded the company with our partner, Dr. Luke Tolley. And so, a little bit of background on that. Dr. Tolley is really the Willy Wonka of the company. He is this incredible combination of somebody who's like a culinary artist at heart, but he's also this brilliant food scientist. So he understands how things function on a molecular level with proteins and so he had been working on this for the last several years. But we met Dr. Tolley about a year and a half ago, and he, as far as my past, I just have been a protein bar consumer for 25 years. I eat I've eaten protein bars. I've been and for the last 25 years, it's just been a huge part of my life. Protein supplements, nutrition and fitness has been kind of a priority for me. And so, that was my level. That was my expertise, was really more just as a consumer. But because of that, when he showed me like the nutrients, the macronutrients on this bar that he had been working on, and looking at it, it was 15 grams of protein, but it was really low calorie. It was only 120 calories, and it was only 3 grams of sugar. And so the nutrients were so good when I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is going to be like, it's going to be a protein bar. It's like, yeah, these are nutrients of a very good functional protein bar, which is like one bite, chug a bunch of water to choke it down, and then anyway. And that's what I expected. So when I tried the bar, I was blown away. And I loved it. And I took some home, and our kids were just like going crazy. Like they wanted to eat them every day. So we were, I was getting these samples. I wasn't really even looking to jump into a business, but we love the product so much. And we just were like, people need to be able to buy these. Like, it was like really just like, man. And it was more of even like, we want to be able to have these. Like that was kind of like a lot of our motivations. We just wanted to have them. One thing that was kind of interesting was the very first meeting that I had with Dr. Tolley. One of the words or the names that we had tossed around when referring to the bar was unicorn. And it was like, part of it was because in my mind, it was a unicorn because kind of what I was saying, it was like the nutrient, like that it was like this impossible, mythical combination of taste and nutrition. Right. But he had said that his daughter had talked about it, had referred to it that way because of the movie Despicable Me and the fluffy unicorn. She talked about it as a fluffy unicorn, and the protein bar itself is kind of a fluffy, it's it's like fluffy, kind of like soft, fluffy texture. And so anyway, so that word was one of the names that we were tossing around, and then we stumbled onto the name Blue Unicorn, and we both loved it, and that and then we found the domain, and we blueunicorn.com, and then that was it. But even then, after that, my wife had this idea of, we were like, well, we don't want to just, have like just a regular unicorn. So she had this idea of turning an alpaca and having like a unicorn alpaca. And that was part of it because we raised alpacas. So we had, we worked with this company and they kind of mocked up this little unicorn. And anyway, and that's where it came from.
That's the genesis right there. I love it. And I think a lot of founders, when they're coming up with a name for their business, they get in this headspace of like, well, I need to have a name that says exactly what we do. But you know what? You don't have to have a name that says exactly what you do. Snickers doesn't say a candy bar with nougat and caramel and peanuts in the title, right?
Yeah.
Nike doesn't say we make shoes in their title. Their brand is built around the fact that you end up seeing people doing the types of things you want to do in there with that name attached to it. An association becomes how the brand is built. So, Blue Unicorn is an interesting one because you say you've had protein for a long time, right, Jason? Like that's been a part of who you are. I see you're a fit person. You try to stay healthy, and Blue Unicorn to me doesn't say fit protein bar. And I think that's a part of the branding as well, right? Like you're not aimed at that market exactly. Tell us more about kind of the positioning you're going for.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're not, I would say, our target is really, people that just want to, primarily it's like health conscious individuals, moms, people that, but also that we, people that just prioritize enjoying what we eat. Look, eating is generally it's an emotional decision, what we want to eat. We like treats and and it becomes a big, it's just a big emotional decision. And so the idea of just like enjoying that and looking forward to that. We're not necessarily targeting the mass, like competitive weightlifter, where it's like the only thing that matters is just like that doesn't matter what it tastes like. They'll eat chalk if it's going to give them an edge. That's not our target. We believe, with it, it's just this idea that, and that's what's I think so amazing about it is like it's like when it feels like you're eating a treat, but it's the healthiest thing you're eating all day.
Folks, if you haven't yet, take a second, go to startupswithstu.com and learn about my upcoming retreats. I have Rudy Rudiger coming. I'm so excited. Rudy is the guy that, if you've ever heard of the movie Rudy, it's a football movie, a story of an underdog, and founders, frankly, more often than not, you will find yourself as the underdog. Cannot wait for you to get to hear from Rudy. If you go to startupswithstu.com/retreats, you can learn more about the upcoming events and go and apply. Folks, this is an investment in time and money that's worth it. You will not regret having spent time in Island Park, Idaho with me, yours truly, Stuart Draper, Rudy Rudiger, and other founders and investors that will be there. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Let's get you back to the show now. Yeah, and I feel like with the branding you have, if I'm a parent stocking my pantry with treats for the summer for my kids, I look at this and go, my kids are going to think this is fun and unique. They're going to think it tastes good. And I've kind of tricked them into the fact that it's going to be a healthier treat than most they could have. And they won't care. They'll still be happy with what's in the pantry.
Yeah, it's for parents, just as an example, for parents that are trying to, control the amount of sugar that your kids are getting. Yeah, it's hard. Like kids come home from school, they raid the pantry, and they just want like simple carbs. They just want sugar. And so we don't even, start out. We didn't want to tell them it was good for them. We just because anyway, it feels like they're eating a treat, and so. Yeah, it does. I think it solves a big problem for parents, and we've had a lot of customers said they have to hide them from their kids.
I ordered the variety pack and set it on the pantry countertop, and I was surprised how quickly they were gone. I only got to try one of each, and the rest the family took, and they were gone. And they were all delicious, by the way, folks. If you haven't tried Blue Unicorn yet, go give it a try. And any deals going on right now, Jason, on the website if they go check it out?
No, so on the website we started doing a for like a first time buyer, it's like there's a 15% off, on a first time purchase on the website on anything that's available. We do have like a little sample pack, which is the way that you can, just get 3 bars and just to try them. It's not a huge commitment that way. We do and then for the customers, once you've had them, we also do a really deep discount on subscriptions as well.
Oh, cool. What % of your buyers on the website are going through the subscription process versus?
Honestly, 50% of our sales are on subscription.
Half of them are subscription.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're loving that. As a founder, that's like gold if you get people to come back, especially in the food industry, like repeat customers. You don't get to control that with subscription very often, but you're finding a way to make it happen. I love hearing it. That's so cool.
Yeah. The subscription is our subscription business has just been steadily 50%, and it's been growing, right at that same rate I mentioned. It's been growing really consistently every month.
Fantastic. So what's the best flavor so far? What's the best seller on flavors?
Well, we have, so there's 3 flavors right now. Double chocolate, mint chocolate, and raspberry. Yeah. I would say, like, I took these to my class at BYU and I handed them all out to the students, and I did like an informal survey and asked them, which flavor. And it was like, literally, it was like split in thirds. It's crazy because people, whichever one is their favorite, they just swear by, and they want, it's like you always, whatever you think is your favorite, you kind of expect that, you kind of project that to other people. And I would say it's but it is a pretty even split, maybe, double chocolate might, and raspberry might slightly edge out the mint, but the people that love the mint will swear by mint chocolate. So
yeah, that's funny you say that, because raspberry was my favorite and my wife mint was her favorite. Yeah. Those were but I usually order, like if there's a chocolate raspberry combo of something, I'm getting it. And Lindsay always goes for the mint. So it made sense.
Well, even here, like my director of operations here, we only have we don't have a lot of full-time employees. So,
right.
Dr. Tolley probably leans towards the raspberry. My director of operations swears by mint's his favorite. I eat the double chocolate, like every day I eat double chocolate, and I've been doing that for 1.5 years, and haven't even, I'm not even tired of it.
Yeah. Oh, they're delicious. So as far as what's next for the business, you mentioned that these are the flavors now, like you got more in the works. You're not done.
Yeah, we've been working on this and talking about it for a little while. I'll give you this is a sneak peek on one of those, but we're going to be rolling out some new flavors, probably starting online. Our plan is to do that here in the next 2 months, likely in September. But we have,
so this folks, is not, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. He's about to give us some good info here.
This is not this isn't a firm commitment, but that's the plan. But one of the new flavors is called toasted coconut. And this one's really amazing. Another one is English toffee, and that one's actually we've done some sampling with both of those. We did a few different flavors that we've done some sampling events with, and done some surveys on those, and yeah, so that's the plan.
Oh, I'm excited to taste them. I can't wait. So maybe I can get some early taste testing in for you. But tell me, as far as go-to-market strategy so far for the business, man, congrats, by the way. If you're growing at such a good clip where it's like 25% month over month kind of growth, you've found some solid traction already. What's been the go-to-market strategies that have worked the best for you guys?
Well, we still kind of are taking a hybrid approach in that we have our direct to consumer, but we have been also adding retail partners. A lot of them have been up until now have been more independent retail. And so that's been, that we're still really focused on expanding that. And there's a lot of demand to try to get into, people want us to go into their grocery stores and things like that. And so, yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. We expect to be adding new retail stores here, before the end of this year. We expect to have, a lot of new retail, at least, and primarily locally here, in Utah and some of the Western states is going to be the first focus, try to sort of geographically target the expansion.
Mm-hmm. So I love that. I think that's really wise. Your background is in a service-based business. Products a part of North Star or not at all?
No, this is totally different than North Star. And I mean, I'll tell you, so this is the other thing that's like, North Star, we did not rely on, any kind of digital marketing was never part of our strategy at all for growth. I mean, it was almost like towards my last few years, we started focusing a little bit on trying to capitalize on that as a way of, of selling our services. But it really was never part of our strategy at all. So that's been the biggest thing, jumping into this world of digital marketing, and that's everything, with what we're doing as a consumer product. And, social media is obviously, that's a big part of growing a brand today. And so I'm learning a lot as I go along with that.
Oh, absolutely. So much to learn from that. And you learn as a founder, especially at your stage, the importance of who, not how, right? Like you hear a lot of startup advice that's like, hey, it's all about the right people. Get the right people around you that can do the things that you don't know how to do, and help them catch your vision. I think in your case, the digital marketing side, you're going to go get help for that. On the side of like the Willy Wonka Dr. Tally for you, or Tolley, so important for your success. What have been the things that you've done to build the right team of people around you and to get the right people around you?
Well, so, one thing is as an adjunct professor, I've been able to connect with some really great, brilliant students. One of my students ended up stepping in originally as an intern right when we started. And he's done a fantastic job and really stepped into this role as director of operations and has taken on a huge amount of responsibility overseeing a lot of the, operations and the production. I mean, we make our bars, like a lot of protein. So that's another thing is, there's tons of consumer products that, they outsource the production of the product. And so we're actually, we make the bars ourselves. That's a big part of our business and that operation of producing bars. And so, he's done a fantastic job in that. And then, and in that whole marketing world, I think it's a younger person's game probably. And so, recognizing that we've been able to have some really sharp students that have been able to help and step in some of those different areas of marketing have brought some good things. And that's I think, that's been a big part of it.
Yeah, that's, I think if you're a founder in an area that has a university, go and utilize the resources available to you through the university. If you're a student in a college town, look for opportunities to find the Jason Christensens and go gain experience working with someone like him. One, multi-time proven founder. Two, really cool new up and coming brand. And if you can put on your resume that while you were in college, you spent 2 years helping them grow from 0 to millions, that is so powerful for your resume. If you can graduate, get a job, and say, hey, I helped them hit the Inc. 5000 list for the first, second, and third year in a row that they did it, that is ultra powerful for your resume. Like, I can't think of very many things. If you're an aspiring founder, getting experience watching a founder like this and working with him, so important, so valuable.
And there's lots of other opportunities within within the university. We ended up early on, we worked with the marketing department, and they did this whole marketing project early on and helping us kind of develop our brand. And that was super helpful, tapping into those, into the students. And we've had other different student groups that have been involved with Blue Unicorn on different projects that have all been really helpful.
Okay, so I'm interested in another part of this story. You already had a big payday. You're helping out as an adjunct. That doesn't pay well. You're not doing it for the money. And then you have this opportunity to start up again, to do something from ground zero in Blue Unicorn. And your wife and you decide hey, this is something we need to do. Tell me about the intentionality here of choosing to go back into the garage and be the founder again. Not an easy choice. And it obviously, and really quickly, it starts to control your life when you've had and enjoyed now, I'm guessing, quite a bit of freedom. I find myself, by the way, in a very similar position of I have idea after idea. I could go start another thing, but I'm do I want to go back to at 10 a.m. I have this meeting and 11 a.m. I have this meeting. And when my buddy says, hey, let's go golfing, I have to say, sorry, dude, I got meetings. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. And I'll say this, we spent the last 5 years, it's been super flexible and super, we took our kids and spent 5 months traveling in Europe. And so, jumping back into this kind of a responsibility. And it's a grind. It's a ton of work. And I teach and I work with entrepreneurs all the time. And I understand the level of sacrifice. It's all consuming. And my wife I had to talk about it a lot, and, to set that expectation. And even, we got married. I was already 6 years into North Star, when we got married. So,
she'd missed the garage days. She didn't see that. She missed
a little bit of that. There was still, a lot of sleepless nights, after we got married. But you have to you've got to set the stage and make sure you have good expectations jumping into something. You have to know that that's what it is. And it's a grind. It's a ton of work. But it's fun. And, for me, it's not often, I don't think, really, for anyone to have an opportunity to really, when you're doing something with a product that you just really love. A lot of us, we go to work and you go to work for a company because they're going to pay you. It's just not often to be able to do something where, man, I love this product. I hope other people love it the same way I do, and that's, so there's that, the passion at the heart of it is, was a big part of it. And we felt the same way. And, that's what's driving us.
So it's what keeps you going too, right? I love that. I think when you find work you love, you never work a day in your life because it's just fun. You're just having fun. And that's I think that's for most founders, like one of the most rewarding parts of doing your own thing versus building someone else's dream is you get to wake up knowing that it's your dream. It's what you want to do with your time and money and energy and everything. So what, have you had some expensive tuition so far? Any experiences where you're like, oh, it sucks to realize we just lost 10 grand in product because it went bad? Or have you had any of those kinds of moments?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Man, there's been a lot of things like that already.
Tell us one of the juicy ones. We want to hear it.
Well, we had to, one thing we did, like our very, very first sell, I took the bars in and I met with the owner of Good Earth Markets, which they have 7 stores. We had literally never sold a bar before. And we took them in and met with them and showed them the bars. And they said, we'll take them. And they ordered like 3,000 bars. And we'd never even made any bars. We've made them just in small quantities, But we had them. This is what they looked like. I took them in and showed them. And, so we went back and we were like, oh man, we got to actually, I said, we'll have them to you in 2 weeks. And, my partner was losing his mind when he found out what I had committed to. And so we all like had to go to work and to try to make that many bars. And we ended up fulfilling the order, but it was not what it should have been. And I one of the big problems was the chocolate. There was just too much chocolate. It was like probably 3 times the amount of chocolate, which a lot of people would be like, well, that's not a big problem, except for it really throws off the macronutrients on the bar. So I ended up, we fulfilled the order, but we really, within a few weeks, we ended up recalling the whole thing and replacing everything that we had sold to them, once we kind of corrected some of the mistakes and I don't know, the packaging, the wrappers were wrong and some other things that we had to redo. And that was, that was expensive and time consuming, but there's been some other things, along the way. It's when you're making, I don't know, I think when you're producing and manufacturing a product, inevitably you're going to be, you'll be making tons of mistakes and you just have to learn from them and fix it.
Entirely self-funded so far? Did you raise some capital with this one to get some investors on the team?
We've been self-funded. We did bring in like just a minority investor, but self-funded. We haven't taken on any debt yet.
Good for you guys. That's awesome. I love hearing stories like yours, Jason, and I hope everyone else listening in today has loved hearing it as well, has had some good takeaways that will help them take their startup to the moon, which is what we do when we talk with founders here at Startups with Stu. Guys, if you're tuning in today, I hope you're taking a second to go to blueunicorn.com to buy yourself some bars and try these things out. I also hope that you're taking time to go to my website, startupswithstu.com, check out the content there and the other episodes, share it with a friend if this has been helpful for you as a founder. If you know other founders that need this type of content, they need to learn from good folks like Jason. A big part of my success as a founder was finding other founders, learning from their stories. So Jason, in closing, if you had one piece of advice for the founders tuning in today that will help them take their startup to the moon, what is it?
Oh man, this is always the hardest question because it's always like there's just, there's so much. This is going to be hard to answer with a simple answer, but there's one of the basic principles that I really have tried to make a key value in my own life. It's and something that I try to teach, right at the very beginning of the semester with my students is one of the key principles of success And it's an attribute that I've really witnessed over and over again in those individuals and managers and leaders and salespeople, that have been the most successful. And it's the principle is really it's the principle of accountability. And I mean, you hear that word, and if you ask somebody what does that mean, a lot of people, there's some negative connotation with the word accountability. It feels like it's like, oh, it's getting in trouble or whatever. But if you think about it and you define it, we there's a definition that I've always used for the word accountability. When I ask people what that means, the most common answer I get is it's to take responsibility for your actions. And the definition that I've always tried to live by is slightly different. It's as I take responsibility for my results. The best way to think about that is it's sort of the opposite of what a lot of people struggle with, which is the victim mentality. And the victim mentality is is where we place blame and we're always making excuses. So I don't know. This is a basic principle, and it's been taught by Tony Robbins and Stephen Covey and every leadership expert out there. If you can learn to embrace that paradigm of accountability and taking responsibility for your results, and just learning how to not play the victim and practicing accountability all the time, to me, that is the single most important principle for success, especially when you're jumping into any kind of entrepreneurial venture.
Yeah, I think a lot of founders they get dishonest with themselves, and it's because they don't want to hold themselves accountable. A great book, by the way, on this subject is Extreme Ownership with Jocko Willink. Highly recommend that as a great one to read or listen to. But man, Jason, tons of nuggets here. I hope people will take away all the golden nuggets you've shared. Thanks for being on the show, and best wishes to you and the Blue Unicorn team.
Thank you.
Man, I would love to have you, Jason, at one of our upcoming Startups with Stu retreats. I don't know if you've heard about them, but I'll send you a little more information later, okay?
Awesome. Yeah, that would be fun.
Okay, take care.
Okay, we'll see you.
We'll see you.
One last time as we wrap up this episode of Startups with Stu, I hope that you've taken a second and gone to startupswithstu.com. If you haven't yet, go check out the website, make sure you're subscribed to the email, and make sure that you check out my retreats that are coming up. August 20th through the 22nd, September 8th through the 10th. We would absolutely love to have you guys there. You won't regret this experience. The testimonials are amazing. Go check those out and listen to those. In fact, I'll hit play on those next.
This is the best networking opportunity I've had this year. I would gladly pay whatever the cost it is to come year after year. Just with the people I've met, the motivation that it gives you, the skills that you take away, the connections that you get, you have lifelong friends here. Like the wealth of knowledge that I've been able to gain from very successful people in a wide variety of industries has been fundamental, I think, to my perception of what good business looks like.
I for sure have 2, 3, 4 people that will have a direct impact in my business and in my life right away. We just connected. It probably will leapfrog my business.
I came to Stu's Entrepreneur Retreat because I wanted to build a network that will help my business and help myself to grow. I gained connections that would not just last for a minute or a month, but for a lifetime. I came into this thinking, you know what, I'm not worthy to be here. And I left feeling like I was.
Being around guys that have broken past what they thought their ceiling was, and to be able to think bigger and really just go for it, right? And that for me was really transformational this weekend. To be able to kind of shift a mindset that I've needed to do and kind of clear the fog of where I need to go.
I've enjoyed getting to meet people and been able to elevate my thinking into trying to become a better version of myself. And that's really what this whole thing is about, is trying to get people to grow and become better versions of themselves so that they can help their community, their businesses, and their family.
The various speakers and the attendees have been very impactful in my life. The clarity that we've received up here and the inspiration to be not just a better businessman, but to be a better human being.
Thanks for joining me on Startups with Stu. We have big goals to help millions of entrepreneurs. If you enjoyed this show, please take a minute to share it with someone else that needs to hear it, or leave a review. Remember, success is within reach for those who dare to dream big and take action. Until next time, keep pushing forward on your entrepreneurial journey.